Hey friends, I want to talk about a book that I read that had a meaningful impact on me. It was a book by Dale Carnegie, but not his How to Win Friends and Influence People, which I've also read and also enjoyed and benefited from, even though, some people love it, some people hate it. The book that I'm thinking of, at least in the edition that I read it, was called The Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking. Also a sort of, I don't know, the guy had a way with titles, a very particular kind of title. But it really changed how I thought about speaking and public speaking and things like this video even, and has been an important part of my process with my work for many years now. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years since I read the book. A lot of different work projects that I've had involve public speaking in one form or another. And, I've done a lot with speaking over the years. I did debate in high school, and St. John's, my alma mater, had a lot of speaking because the classes were conversation based and things like that. But this book really shifted my perspective on it and in important ways. And I think I see a lot of people who would benefit from this frame on it. So I thought I would sort of summarize the broad strokes ideas from the book and what impact they had on me in case it's interesting. You can, of course, go read the book. It's a good book, but the basic ideas are ones that are easy enough to say briefly and that you could benefit from. So sometimes when people do public speaking, say you have to give a eulogy or, a best man speech at a wedding or whatever, I forget what the name of that is if you're the maiden of honor or whatever. But anyway, you take my point. Say you have to give some kind of speech, like at a wedding or a funeral or, some award ceremony or something. What a lot of people will do by default is prepare their speech in advance and even write it down. They'll take notes or write it down verbatim and say the thing that they want to say. And that's fine. You can do that. It works okay. It works fine, but it's sort of stilted, right? Where someone's like looking down at their notes and reading it and say they make a joke that they thought of in advance. It's going to be less funny because they're reading it verbatim, or they share this meaningful memory. It's going to hit less hard because they're reading it from a piece of paper and they're looking down. They're not making eye contact. They're not using their body. It's not alive. It's not vibrant. It's not spontaneous. And sometimes you need that, right? Like I kind of did this to some extent with my mother's funeral when I had to give a eulogy a couple of years ago at my mother's funeral because I was a mess and I was really sad that she had died. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to speak extemporaneously because my mom just died and I'm sad and I'm grieving. So I did a bit more verbatim speech preparation than I might ordinarily do. So it can be good for that kind of a situation. It's also reassuring, right? Like if you have fear of public speaking, which a lot of people do, it can be reassuring to be like, no, I know exactly what I'm going to say. I just have to read it out loud. And that's fine, but it's sort of suboptimal. And what Dale Carnegie suggests instead is, one, give a talk about something that you have thoughts and feelings and opinions and perspectives on. So if I gave a talk on geoengineering, I would have no idea what to say. But if I gave a talk on public speaking as I'm doing now, or anything to do with love or curiosity or empowerment or a whole bunch of topics, I could just speak freely for 5, 10, 20, 30, 60 minutes about things that I have opinions about because I have thoughts and feelings and opinions and perspectives on those issues. And pick something that you're passionate about. Pick something that you know you have thoughts and opinions and ideas about. And then, importantly, this is how I would summarize it, is just know you're going to give a talk on that topic, right? Like I recently gave a talk on the Service Guild, a lightning talk at Fractal Tech, I don't know, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, something like that. And, I know what the Service Guild is. I'm an expert in what the Service Guild is and why we do it. And, actually, in retrospect, I signed up on the day of, but let's assume counterfactually that I had known in advance. I'm just going to give a talk this Sunday on this thing. You just know it psychologically. Like on this day, I'm going to give this talk on this thing. And your subconscious in the background, your intuition sort of rewires itself to be like, all right, that's going to happen. You kind of put it in the back burner, like, okay, I'm going to give a talk on that day about this thing that I already have thoughts and opinions and perspectives on, and you just know it. You just know, oh yes, on that day I'm giving that talk. You keep it in your background awareness. Yep, I'm going to give a talk soon on this topic. And then from there, it follows that you can take every opportunity that you get to talk about that topic and to practice. Like even ordinary conversations with a friend or family member or a loved one can be a chance to practice making specific points or reviewing what you think about that specific topic. And everything you do can be practiced. Every conversation you have can be practiced. And it doesn't even need to be some big thing where you ask a friend, hey, can I practice my talk? You just say, oh, by the way, and you just start talking about one part of what you're going to say, and that's practice. But in general, just knowing you're going to give a talk on the thing and it being something that you already have thoughts and opinions and feelings and perspectives and ideas about is the conditions for good consequences, where you are going to give a good talk about that topic because you know you have things to say and you know you're going to give it, and your subconscious, your sort of right hemisphere, whatever you want to call it, rearranges itself to be chewing on that in the background, and then you come prepared. You're like, you can just start talking about it, and you will say ums and ahs. You might forget specific topics that you know you want to talk about. It will not be perfect, but it will be real and it will be vibrant and alive in a way that a prepared speech where you say literally everything that you want to say word for word ahead of time will not be. That's kind of dead. You can notice this if you watch someone give a prepared speech verbatim. It's like accurate with respect to the words, but just not alive in a vibrant way. A public speech should be human. It should be something people can connect to, something they can feel, something they can have thoughts and opinions about, something they connect to you as a person about, right? Like I didn't know I was going to be saying this word verbatim right now when I started this video. I just know, hey, I'm going to talk about Dale Carnegie and that topic of public speaking for 5, 10, 15 minutes or whatever. And I have things to say about it because I've thought about it for a long time. I didn't know I was going to be saying this sentence specifically, but it's alive, right? I'm gesticulating, I'm making eye contact, I have feelings, you can tell I care about it, right? And that comes across in an embodied way if you're listening to someone talking like this, in a way that perfection just doesn't, right? Like you have permission, you permission someone to say or ah, or to say like, or to lose their train of thought. Yes, that happens, but people don't actually care about that. They want to feel something. They want to connect to you. They want to be impacted by what you have to say. And speaking extemporaneously, speaking free form in an intuitive way about something that you care about, that you're passionate about, that you have thoughts about, is going to be so much more impactful than a perfect verbatim speech that you read word for word while not making eye contact, while not gesticulating, while not being spontaneous, right? This allows you to be spontaneous in a way that a prepared speech does not. So there are occasions where prepared speech is the move, as I said with my eulogy for my mother, or if you're just really nervous and it makes you feel better. But if you want that, there's kind of a middle path where you take some notes, some bullet point notes of like, hey, I want to talk about this, and then this, and then this, and this. And the bullet points are just like 1 or 2 words that are key headers for you that you know what they mean. And I'll often do this. I'll even have a memory palace in my head of what I want to talk about. Like the other day, I had to give a talk on loving kindness practice before a metta dance party. And I forget now exactly what it was, but there was a 3-word memory palace that I had for a 30-minute talk where I think I said feelings, heart, benefit. It's just 3 words. And that meant something very specific to me. It basically meant, hey, you have to feel your current feelings and emotions and what's present for you, including grief or anger or hatred or rage or whatever it is, confusion, pain. You have to feel what's present for you. And then you can cultivate the heart and the Brahmaviharas and love, loving kindness, compassion, these beneficial, wholesome qualities, because you felt through what you needed to feel through. And from there, from perceiving in a kind, loving way, you will take actions that are of benefit in the world, that benefit the people around you, that benefit the world, not in a top-down, figure it out in advance kind of way, but in an emergent bottom-up way. And that this practice actually benefits the world. That's a whole 30-minute talk I can give that I outlined with 3 words. That's just like, yep, I know I'm going to talk about this, then this, then this, and boom. And because I have talked about loving kindness a billion times, because I have thoughts and opinions about it, because I'm something of an expert in it, it's easy for me to give that talk with just 3 anchors of like, all right, I'm going to talk about these 3 things and be able to talk for half an hour in a compelling way that's fun for me, that's alive, that's responsive also, because when you make eye contact with the audience, you can see, oh, this person's feeling this and this person's feeling this, or that people are giving you information as you talk to them, that if you're closed off and just looking at a piece of paper, you can't take in that information and then you can't respond to it. You can't alter your speech in a live, responsive way that meets the audience where they are. If people are, one way, then you're going to speak one way. If people are feeling different things, you're going to respond a different way. And you start to notice that as you speak more and more, that yes, you are the one that is voicing different thoughts and ideas, but the audience participates too. They participate through their body language, through their emotions, through their thoughts, through their feelings. In an embodied way, you can pick up on all that information and respond to it in a way that you can't if you're in that sort of left hemisphere thinking mode where you're like, I am going to say the perfect right thing in the perfect order. You have to let yourself be permissioned to mess up or to say the word like or or ah, or to have a long pause and have that be okay. That's necessary for speaking in a spontaneous, alive, vibrant, intuitive way that will actually impact people, that will actually cause them to have thoughts and feelings and perspective shifts. And even with the group as a whole, to actually interact with them and have a one to many, many to one kind of interaction where you're connecting to the group as a whole. That's possible. That's something you start to develop a feel and a sensibility for as you speak more and more. And if you're kind of closed off and trying to give the perfect right speech that says exactly the right things in the right order, you're just going to be blocking yourself from that. So I'd much rather give a talk that's like, quote, imperfect, that has ums and ahs, that has long pauses, or maybe I forget to make a specific point, but actually connects with people, actually makes them feel something, actually makes them see things differently, actually causes them to encounter what I'm saying in a meaningful way than something perfect and closed off. Because you're not in school, right? This is a failure mode that so many people have where they're trying to impress some concept of an authority that they've received and internalized in their body. I want to impress my father. I want to impress my mother. I want to impress my teacher. I want to impress my boss and make sure they think I'm doing a good job. I want to do the right thing. I want to ace this test. And that's internalized such that we are trying to do the right thing. But in trying to do the right thing, we close ourselves off from the vibrancy of spontaneity and aliveness and resonance. It's imperfect, yes, but actually impactful, actually alive, actually meaningful, and makes you feel things and makes you see in new perspectives. So it's just much more fun. It's just much more fun to speak this way. So anyway, that's the basic idea. If you want to read more about it, there's a whole book on it from Dale Carnegie, but that's the basic idea. And it's part of my public speaking routine is just like, know I'm going to talk about a specific thing that I care about, know about it in advance, and show up. Maybe I have a rough outline of 3, 5, 6, 7 things I want to talk about that I can have in my memory or in a piece of paper in front of me, but I do not have a verbatim preparation of I'm going to talk about this and then this and then this in this exact specific way, because that just kills it. So it's fine if you need to do that, but I think this is just a much more fun and alive and powerful way to speak. And I thought I'd do a video to share it. Definitely recommend the book if this is interesting to you, and be curious to hear about your experience of this sort of thing.